People have real problems and no one gives a if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
So here's the tea. After spending upwards of $350 million on the live-action Snow White reboot, yes, 350, not a typo, Disney is allegedly done playing nice.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live-action Disney adaptation ever.
Word on the street is that the House of Mouse is so furious with how hard the film flopped, both at the box office and in public opinion, that they're now allegedly demanding financial compensation from the two women who were supposed to lead the movie to glory.
That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, and not just quietly. Not through private discussions, but through serious behind-the-scenes pressure, according to multiple industry sources. And Rachel? She's allegedly falling apart. One insider even described her reaction as a total breakdown, claiming she had no idea Disney was planning to hold her personally accountable for the disaster that unfolded. But here's the kicker. This entire mess has been brewing for months.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
Let's not pretend this happened overnight. Disney didn't just wake up, check the box office numbers, and decide to rage text their lawyers. No. This is allegedly the climax of a long, slow buildup of tension, disappointment, and escalating embarrassment. It all started, according to insiders, before cameras even rolled. Disney allegedly invested heavily in Rachel Zegler's public image, styling her as the next face of the brand, prepping massive marketing campaigns, interviews, talk show appearances, social media engagement, the works. She wasn't just going to be Snow White, she was supposed to be the modern princess rebrand for an entire generation. And then, it all unraveled, spectacularly. Rachel gave the interviews, you know the ones, rolling her eyes at the original story, dragging the prince, mocking the romance, and acting like she was too cool to be playing a character millions of girls grew up idolizing. And Disney allegedly watched all of it go down in silence. But behind closed doors, they were furious. They had sunk hundreds of millions into this film, and the woman they bet on to carry it was allegedly sabotaging it with every soundbite. And Gal Gadot? Allegedly no better. Sources claim she refused to take the lead on positive press, distanced herself from the film as things got tense, and allegedly made it clear she wasn't interested in cleaning up Rachel's mess. Now Disney's reportedly done cleaning up anyone's mess, and instead, they allegedly want their money back.
Do you know, how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act in sin? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country?
Let's be clear. There's no confirmed legal action yet, but multiple insiders are saying that high-level executives at Disney have floated the idea of recouping some of the money spent on Zegler and Gadot, not just for salaries, but for wasted promo campaigns, failed reshoots, and image cleanup that went nowhere. That's right. They're allegedly trying to bill the stars for their own disaster. And if this is true, it would be historic, because Disney has never publicly gone after its own talent like this, not even in the worst flops. But this isn't just a bad movie. This is a brand-level catastrophe, and someone's gotta pay. And Disney allegedly wants it to be the people who were front and center when it all went off the rails.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern-day feminism and the left in general, and Hollywood.
Sources close to Rachel say she had no idea Disney was preparing this level of fallout. She allegedly believed the studio was still behind her, even as the backlash grew. And now, she's reportedly devastated, angry that Gal isn't, defending her, stunned by Disney's silence, and allegedly begging her team to stop this from turning legal. But girl, the damage is already done. The film is a flop. The audience turned. The brand is allegedly cutting her out of future projects. And now, with this alleged refund request looming, it's no longer just a PR nightmare. It's a career crisis.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
So let's talk about Gal. Because while Rachel Zegler is allegedly losing it behind the scenes, spiraling over the press, the backlash, and now Disney allegedly asking for their money back, Gal Gadot is quiet. Too quiet. She hasn't spoken. Up. She hasn't defended her co-star. She hasn't acknowledged the disaster at all. And that silence feels very strategic. Because according to multiple alleged insiders, Gal saw this coming and made it very clear early on that she would not be the face of this mess if the ship went down. And now that the ship has sunk, Gal's nowhere near the wreckage. She's already halfway down the red carpet for her next project, acting like Snow White was just a bad dream she woke up from. Meanwhile, Rachel's allegedly being left to drown.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Let's be real. Disney knows exactly what it's doing. When a film flops this hard and public trust plummets, the brand has one job: salvage what's left. And the fastest way to do that? Create distance between the company and the controversy. So, now, according to sources, the internal strategy has shifted into overdrive. No new press for Snow White, no public support for Zegler, and allegedly, no future plans involving either of the film's stars. That's right, Gal included. Because while Gal didn't fuel the fire the way Rachel did, she also didn't help put it out. Executives allegedly feel like both actresses dropped the ball in different ways. Rachel with her mouth, and Gal with her silence. So now, they're allegedly cutting ties with both. Not with drama, not with statements, but with subtle, powerful moves behind the scenes. One source allegedly said they're treating it like a loss, not something to fix, just something to bury.
Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice.
Now, let's talk about this refund demand, because on the surface, it sounds wild. Who asks their own stars for money back? But this isn't just about dollars, it's about dominance. If the rumors are true, this isn't Disney expecting to actually get millions back from Zegler or Gadot. This is them making a point. We gave you everything. You gave us a disaster. It's humiliation. It's pressure. It's the most high-level, legal-adjacent form of "you're done here." And if it works, it sets a precedent. If you drag the brand, if you sabotage the film, we'll come for you. Even if you're the star. And Rachel, she's allegedly realizing that too late. Sources say she's been meeting with lawyers, begging her reps to fix this, and even trying to reach out to former Disney execs for support. But no one's answering, because no one wants to be on the wrong side of a studio this angry. Especially not when it's Disney.
So, I mean, this woman has clicked every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story.
Here's the difference between Rachel and Gal. Rachel fought the backlash. Gal avoided it. She didn't say the wrong things. She didn't drag the original story. She gave the bare minimum, smiled through the press junkets, and allegedly refused to pick a side when things got tense. And now, that strategy's paying off. She might be losing future Disney deals, but she's not trending for the wrong reasons. Her career? Still moving, still booked, still safe. Because while Rachel was caught up in controversy, Gal allegedly stayed focused on self-preservation. And Disney might be mad at her too, but they're not blaming her. That honor is allegedly all Rachel's.
Where Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina, and she was angrily saying, "Did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was Latina?"
In Hollywood, getting dropped isn't always loud. It's quiet, it's subtle, it's deadly. No one sends a text that says you're out. They just stop calling you in. And right now, according to alleged industry insiders, Rachel Zegler is learning that lesson the hard way. Because while the headlines are still dragging Snow White and the internet hasn't stopped roasting her since that disastrous promo tour, what's happening behind the scenes is even worse. Studios are ghosting her, brands are walking away, and casting directors are allegedly saying what nobody will admit out loud: she's not worth the risk. That's not just backlash, babe. That's Hollywood blacklisting. Soft, silent, and surgical.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and couldn't happen to a better person.
Let's break it down. When an actor is hot, they don't need to audition. Their names get brought up in every meeting. Everyone wants a piece. Casting directors pitch them before a project is even greenlit. Rachel had that buzz after West. Side story, she was on every shortlist, and after she was announced as Snow White, she was basically being positioned as Gen Z's Emma Watson. But now, her name is allegedly being left out on purpose. One alleged studio source said it plainly: there's No way I'm putting her on a cast. Not after that. We don't need to fight fan backlash before the trailer drops. That's how quickly it flips in this town. One bad moment, one reputation shift, and suddenly, you're not even up for discussion. And even worse, no one wants to say it out loud, because once you admit someone's off limits, it becomes real. So they just move on, silently, strategically. And for Rachel, that silence is allegedly deafening.
Be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince, like that's incongruous bullshit. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Let's be honest. If Rachel had just made a bad movie, she'd be fine. Hollywood forgives flops all the time. But that's not what this is. This isn't about a movie. It's about how she carried herself through the fire and how that became her entire brand. The public sees her as someone who mocked the original Snow White, rolled her eyes at a beloved story got cast as a princess, and acted like she was too cool for it. And the industry allegedly sees her as uncoachable, disrespectful to IPA, PR liability with a loyal fan base. Just not her fan base. And here's the thing no one wants to admit. Once a young actress gets the ungrateful label, it sticks. It doesn't matter if it's fair. It doesn't matter if it was taken out of context. In this town, the whisper is more powerful than the headline, and Rachel's whisper right now, she doesn't. Respect the job. That's the kind of vibe that haunts a resume for years.
What was this Academy Awards? Anyway, feminist Conor McGregor.
Who the fuck is that guy?
It's a weird walk for a weird broad, and I don't like her.
It is, and it's really mean to put her next to Gal Gadot, who's absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
So
it's not fair.
While Rachel is allegedly scrambling to keep her reps on damage control, let's look around. Because Hollywood never leaves a throne empty. And the second Rachel fumbled the Snow White bag, other names started floating to the top. Names the public actually likes. Names the industry trusts. Girls who keep it classy in interviews, don't mock beloved stories, know when to speak and when to smile. And whether it's casting calls, magazine covers, or studio shortlists, the vibe is allegedly this: give. As someone like Rachel, but without the drama. And that line is career-ending in disguise because it means they liked what she could have been, not what she is now. And they're ready to build that version with someone else.
For every one of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress.
Forget the movies for a second. You know what keeps most stars paid and relevant? Brands. The sponsorships, the partnerships, the face of campaigns. And Rachel was this close to becoming the face of multiple, but the second Snow White became a punchline, and Rachel became the villain. Allegedly, the brand started ghosting too. One fashion house reportedly scrapped a campaign mid-planning. A cosmetics collab was postponed indefinitely, and her team allegedly got the dreaded line, "We're going in a different direction." Translation? You're too controversial to touch right now. And the worst part? She hasn't even had a scandal. No crime, no lawsuit, no leaked DMs, just a bad attitude and a fan base that turned on her. But in 2025, that's all it takes, because perception is everything, and Rachel's is toxic.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it, and then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
Let's not pretend this is just a flop. Let's not sugarcoat it like she'll bounce back. No, this is the kind of fall that doesn't fade. It burns into memory. Rachel Zegler, once hailed as Disney's modern, inclusive, boundary-breaking princess, is now allegedly the first in the studio's history to be permanently disowned without a single statement. No spin, no second chances, just silence. And in Hollywood, that silence isn't absence. It's a message. We're done here. And we don't need to explain ourselves.
And I will look forward to her not getting cast in any more movies for a long time, until she actually does learn something about humanity and humility.
The casting rumors? Dead. The projects? Disappeared. Every trace of Disney's investment in Rachel has allegedly been scrubbed. No more dolls, costumes, promos, tie-in merch. All quietly pulled. Not even archived, just deleted. And if that sounds dramatic, good. Because Disney doesn't just pull the plug on a princess. They market the hell out of her until people forget she ever flopped. But not with Rachel. With Rachel, they allegedly decided it's better if the world forgets she ever wore the crown. That's not PR management. That's corporate erasure. And girl, when Disney hits that level of cold, you are never getting invited back to the ball.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live action Disney adaptation ever.
Let's talk about what she leaves behind. Rachel Zegler won't be remembered for her vocals, or her performance, or even her potential. She'll be remembered for one thing: how not to play the game. She became the cautionary tale. The girl who got the dream role and treated it like a chore. The girl who clowned the fans, mocked the fairy tale, and acted like the crown was plastic. And now, "Don't go full Zegler" is already Hollywood slang for blowing your shot by getting in your own way. She didn't fall from grace. She walked herself off the cliff, talking the whole way down, and in a business built on illusion, grace, and brand alignment, that kind of fall, you don't get up from it.
25,000 more just like her knocking on the same doors that she had opened to her. She had the opportunity of a lifetime, and instead of being humble and grateful, she was entitled and a snot.
Gal Gadot is back on red carpets, smiling for the next blockbuster. Disney is already scouting their next golden girl. The world is spinning. And Rachel's no longer in orbit. She's been unofficially exiled, blacklisted, soft banned, whatever you want to call it. Her team might still be posting, but nobody's watching. And maybe the saddest part? No one seems to miss her because the audience didn't fall in love with her Snow White, they rejected it. And when Disney realized they couldn't save it, they didn't try. They just buried it, and her with it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever again.
This isn't one of those Hollywood loves a comeback stories, because in order to come back, the public has to want you to. And right now, there's no demand. There's no apology waiting to be accepted. There's no appetite for a rebrand Rachel. Zegler has allegedly been reduced to a search result with comment sections turned off, a reputation that studios don't want attached, a headline people scroll past and say, "Oof, that aged badly." She's not the princess. She's not the villain. She's the afterthought, and that's worse than being hated. So what do you think? Did Disney just create its first erased princess? Was Rachel Zegler the problem, or just the loudest symptom of a bigger mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like this video, subscribe for more chaos, and smash that bell icon so you never miss a fall from grace. Because if this is how they treat royalty, imagine what they'll do to the next girl who forgets who owns the castle.